Hey guys, looks like we we are alive. We are trying to get through all the technical issues of this, so we're going to get started here real quick. What I'm fixing to do is I got to send one email for a link for the StreamYard for the chefs from Cancun. Evidently, they didn't get it this morning. So what I'm going to do is I just need to send out a link to them real quick, and we're going to get started on this demo. We're going to be going over brisket, Texas style brisket, particularly. But hey, we've got some real pretty briskets. I got some cooked in different stages, so you're going to get to see the trim, the seasoning, putting it on. You're going to see the wrap, and then of course we're going to see the slicing at the end. And so y'all gonna get to see a lot about this brisket, but let me get this out. I had to go live or the Facebook was gonna cancel. So I had to get this in there first. Rafael's got the camera going. Guys, we're gonna be man trying to get y'all some close-ups, get you going good. Nicole's bringing me a brisket. And I tell you what, we got a USDA prime brisket for today. Go up to HEB. I know there's HEBs down in Mexico. A lot of places. I don't know if they're as far down as Cancun yet. But anyways, in their just general bag of their $2.29 briskets yesterday, this prime was in there. So we grabbed it. Figured we'd cook up a prime today. But like I said, you got one going. I've got one already warmed up. But we're going to see if we got this going. Hopefully we got enough people on here. But they can also get in and see the rerun of this when it reposts. But they said they are connecting on the live, so I think we're gonna go ahead and get going. And I'm gonna get started on this brisket. Show y'all some different things, kind of how we do it and how we process it. And we're gonna get it on that gray smoker out there whenever we take it out. And then we'll talk a little bit. I'll answer some questions, and we're gonna try to let that other one go a little bit longer before we wrap it. I don't want to wrap it too quick, because if we do, it's not going to have the color. I usually wrap to color, not to temperature. There's a dryer. Our clothes are dry. You can tell this is a working environment in here. But what I'm going to do is, guys, let me move this out of the way. Got my knife kit here. And with the students, from Cancun that are here, people ask me very often, hey, what's the best knife to get? I'm going to tell you this. It's the best knife you can afford. And one thing that I use on mine is, and I really do like them, is I use Mercer's, the Genesis line. They're forged German steel, and they work great. But I like the Genesis line. You can see I have some of the Renaissance also. And then this is their Butcher series we're going to be using today. But I just keep this knife kit, and this is my barbecue kit. Breaking down meats when I'm doing wild game. You see I've got a scimitar in there. And again, that's their butcher line. They have a millennial line, which is kind of what I call a beater knife. But anyways, very good knives. And we're going to get rolling here. Let's see, what knife do I want? Oh, there's the one I'm looking for. So I got the two knives out I want. Keep them in just a nice roll-up bag. But give y'all an idea about our knives. USDA Prime. So this is going to be, and let me go over this, because I know as we're talking with y'all being in Mexico, I don't know how y'all's meat is graded. I know Canada is different than ours, but I'm not sure about yours. So we have really 3 grades: select, then choice, and then prime. Prime being the best. Those are the 3 grades. You can also buy meat that has never been graded, right? So if it doesn't have anything on it, it's non-graded. Doesn't mean it's worse than select. It just means it's not a graded piece of meat. So sometimes you can find some very good cuts that don't have anything marked on them. But this is a USDA prime brisket we have today. And we're going to go over the brisket and get into the seasoning and all of that. Bring this out. And I'll show y'all kind of what I look for in a brisket and what I like in a brisket. It's going to let it drip. That's called the purge. It's not really blood. It's just water coming out of there that has a little bit in there with it. And if one of my students, these are all high school students here that are helping and running for me today. And these three are all first year culinary students. So here's our brisket, and there's two muscles in a brisket. If you look at the striations here, this is the flat. All right, this end down here is our flat end, but the flat comes up and it covers our point. The point of the brisket is up here, and this is the fatty end of the brisket. And then you can see the fat that's here and the fat that's there runs in between those two muscles. That's one thing that's hard about cooking a brisket is that you've got to cook this not so fat piece and get it the same as the fatty piece and get them all done at the same time. That's one of the challenges of brisket. A lot of people think Texas is only beef. It's not pork, but let me tell you what. Pork is a very big part of Texas. Pulled pork really was not. If we usually cooked pork, it was usually chunked up. And a pork butt is cooked a whole lot like this anyways. It's going to be some of the same procedures you can use. But all y'all know you can get hold of me, and I'll answer anything. Email is texastalkcuisine@gmail.com. So y'all can send me emails, and I'll answer the questions the best I can. Well, we're going to start trimming this up. This is not a competition trim, guys. All right. This is a backyard trim, a restaurant trim, something that I would do, but it is by no means a competition trim. But we're going to have some fat we're going to take off. And also we're going to save this fat. We're going to take it. I'm going to drop it in a bowl, and we'll use the trimmings for making sausage. These students get a lesson in charcuterie every year. So that we're going to be making sausage, and we save our trimmings off briskets and our pork butts and anything we may have for whenever we do sausage making. They really, every year I've done it, the kids love the charcuterie lesson, and the kids last year liked it, and we'll be doing it again this year real soon. But they'll learn how to make a bunch of different sausages. But where I'm going to start at is this big kind of area right here of fat. And what I want to do is let y'all see it, if Raphael can. You can tell on this edge, it's kind of sitting up on top of your flat. And I'm going to try to do this so y'all can see a little bit and not so much me see. But I don't want to cut my hand either. So we're just going to take off this knuckle and where it goes up over the top. Try not to get down into my meat, but just take this piece of fat off. All right. If y'all would give me a stainless steel bowl to throw that in. You can see where we took that off. And this deckled in, you can see all the fat that's in there. That's the fat end. That's the point, what I was telling you all about a while ago. And this fat line is what separates these two muscles. Now, up on top, I'm not going to take all this off. Some of this silver skin and some of this fat we're going to get off. But you want to be careful because you can gouge your brisket. And it's better to have a little fat on there to render out than to gouge it. I'll tell you that. And a gouge would be a cutting down into it. Don't know how the word gouge translates in there, but y'all understand what I'm talking about. But we're just going to be getting this. And this is these kids, that my students, this is their first lesson in barbecue also. This is their first year. Now, they may have learned some at home with, mom and dad and aunts and uncles and stuff, but this is their first classroom of doing a barbecue. We do have a barbecue team here. Just started it last year, and COVID shut everything down, so we didn't get to really roll the way we wanted to. But we're going to come back this year, and we're going to be entering some cook-offs with these kids where they do brisket, spare ribs, which is what we're going to do tomorrow, and chicken halves specifically. Here in Texas, we do halves instead of the thighs. But you're just going to work to try to get some of these bigger pieces of fat off. And like I said, you can get off some of this silver skin, but hey, a big part of that is going to render out anyways. And if I was going to do a competition trim, I would do a lot more to this brisket than you're going to see me doing to it today. But we're just going to get the bulk of the fat off. This one, actually, for being a prime, I would have expected to see more fat running through here. Where you see where I went down in there, you can see a little bit, but this really isn't as fatty of a prime as I might have thought it would have been for a prime. The silver skin we will not use for sausage. We'll get rid of it. But the fat is going to go into our sausage bin. And when you get down in this end, just put your hand underneath it and help hold it up. And here's one thing I'll show you right now while I'm doing this that I don't like about this brisket. See how thin this flat is? The thicker this is, the better. It's going to get this. A lot of this is going to get cooked away because it's so thin. So you're going to lose some of this just in the cooking process. But if I look for a brisket, I look for one. The point's not too high and the flat's not too flat. You don't want it real thin. The thicker, the better. The one that we have cooked up to show you in a little while, it had a nice thick flat, and we'll be showing y'all that. Here's your striation. Some people will cut a notch so they know where to put their slices in. I don't ever do that. I know it's off the point, and I know where to go. But you're going to cut across the grain. That's going to help with your tenderness, all right? And if any of my kids in here have questions that y'all can ask, right? If anybody's got something y'all want to ask in here, and I can answer y'all's questions online. This little flap would not make it anyways. It's just going to come all the way off, and it's going to go into our sausage bin. All of this is really silver skin, so we won't save it. And somebody ever wants to check my phone and make sure, I know somebody will text me if we don't have sound or something, but looks like we must be going good. I'm not getting any texts from anybody or phone calls. So I know Johnny Maggs and some of y'all guys have my phone number out there. So if something goes wrong, call me because I'm not monitoring the computer, right? Got a young man in there, but he's watching it, and I don't know, he's probably not watching the chat real close. He's more worried about do we have sound and or other things going on. And again, just kind of pick it up, take that fat off. And guys, I'm not going to take a whole lot more fat off of here. It's not worth, I don't think it's worth the effort or the time to get it all off. And it's going to cook fine. Kind of clean some of this up between the two muscles. And you can really see the two muscles. See, its striations are going this way and these are going that way. That's why when you slice a brisket, you can't go from one end to the other. You got to, there's two muscles, they're sliced two different ways. Just take some of this heavy fat off up here. Any type of parts that hang out, we might take just the end of this off because it's not going to cook real good. Come in here and kind of just clean that up a little bit. Flip this over and let y'all look at it. You can see how thick the fat cap is there. On the back side, I like to leave, you know, that kind of that 1/4 inch mark. So coming right here and just start taking it down, being careful, trying not to get into the meat. If you do, it's not the end of the world, okay? But and you can see on this end, see, we got a big thick piece there. We can come in here and just take that off the top. I don't want a real square edge. I kind of try to round it maybe a little bit. Makes it a little more aerodynamic or something where the air will flow over it better in the pit. That's not too bad there. Let's go a little bit here. A little closer down to the meat. My students watching this too. Getting it figured out. So we got a big learning experience today, right? We got high school culinary kids and we got college culinary kids all learning about the art of cooking a brisket. And I tell you what, folks, it's a challenge because you know when you're barbecuing, it's nothing like cooking in an oven, right? We put a cake in the oven and we know, hey, it's 350 degrees for 25 minutes. Pull it out and you have cake, right? Well, when you're cooking barbecue, every piece of wood's not the same. You know, every piece of meat's not the same. The temperature that's out that day, how's that affecting your pit? There's so many variables that you have to adjust for being a barbecue cook. But it's a lot of fun. It's very challenging and it's very, very rewarding to be able to do that. We're just going to keep taking this fat off a little at a time. Don't want to go too fast because if I get to going too fast, what it's going to do is make it down into the meat a lot easier, and then you haven't stopped. I'd rather go a little bit at a time instead of going real fast. Sharpen up a little bit here. And people go, oh, you sharpened your knife over your meat. Okay. This is a steel. It does not take any steel off of this. So if you're doing this, there's no metal coming off. When you take metal off of a knife, sharpening it, that's when you've put it on a stone and you've sharpened it that way. All this is doing is honing your blade. It's smoothing it off where maybe you have some rough edges. So you're not getting any metal shavings on there. People question that many, many times. I've seen that question, but don't worry, it's not going to affect anything at all. I'm used to kind of having this on my side, and it's a lot easier. I got to keep it on y'all side so y'all can see. This is looking pretty good. I'm fixing to call it quits. I'm not going to, like I said, this is not a competition trim where I want to get every bit of fat and silver skin off of there. This is the other problem on this brisket right here. This isn't going to cook good. See it? Where it's up by itself, it's going to burn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to take it off. Boy, look at that marbling, the fat in there. This deckled in on this one is going to be very, very nice. And again, I'll kind of take that corner off so it's not so rough, right? I think this side's good enough. Flip it back over. Oh, and I know I'll get insults about leaving too much fat on here. People on YouTube are good at insulting you, but we're gonna. But that's what I was talking about, a gouge. See where I probably should have just left it alone. I took that little divot out. Probably didn't need to do that, but I did. All right. I could keep going and keep going and keep going, but I'm not. I'm going to stop right there. Take my silver skin that I'm not going to use, put it over there. Pull off my gloves. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to inject this brisket. Like I said, it's not necessary. We're doing a Texas style brisket, so Texas style isn't necessarily, oh, let's go inject this. But it is something we do here. It is something prevalent on the cook-off circuit. So I thought I would show y'all how to do that today. If you look, I just have an injector, and it puts it in increments. You can set a dial for how much is going in each squeeze. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to inject this brisket and just show y'all the general routine. This is getting injected with some Angry Bull from LC Barbecue. Philip Breeden, he was the #1 cook in the International Barbecue Cookers Association here in Texas last year. They just had the awards last weekend. He got the top cook. This is one of his injections. You can find him on Facebook if y'all want to try them. The code LC10 or no JC10, no CJ10, Chef Johnny 10 will get you 10% off. I don't make anything off of it, but it'll help y'all out some and help out a really nice guy. But we're just going to take this, take our injector, and I have a real fine needle. They have some that are bigger and have holes on the sides. I don't like those. I think I get more staining with them, but this is a thinner injection needle, and we're going to just put it in there, lift up. And now I'm going to go across the grain, and I kind of do like a grid, and I go about every inch. And on the way out, I squeeze in. And right now I'm working on the flat. I'll turn it over and get the point in a minute. You can see me going here. And you can kind of tell, see it puffed up right there. And then I'll just back up. Oh, there you go. See, did y'all see that in there? Bet you y'all did. I've got some injection got up past my plunger. Not real sure why. But then just pick up where you left off. And we're going to just fill this up. And again, like I said, not necessarily Texas style. This is really a cook-off style, but I figured it wouldn't hurt to show y'all how to do this today. And I think that this Angry Bull mixes up like 3/4 of a cup to 2.5 cups or something like that. But it will put some flavor and some moisture in your meat. The brisket we're going to show y'all later was not injected. This one just thought it'd be fun to show y'all how I inject the brisket. If y'all would, Jonathan, if you would give me some a bunch of paper towels, because we're going to have to dry this off. Just hold them right there. And you can tell we're getting that meat full because it's starting to come out the other holes. Put it in, and on your way out, just inject. That way it gets not all in one spot. You kind of spread it on the way out. Now, this little thin flat area down here, this is going to help it stay moist and not get as dried out. All right, put a couple up here in the point from this side. Get that out of your way. But you can see it's going to go between the joints, and not all of it stays in there. Some of it comes out. And now up here is my point. It's going to go to about right here. So again, across the grains of it. And that is just such a fatty brisket up on that end. It probably doesn't need to be injected in that end, but yeah, probably just going to go this last syringe. Get down here in the flat a little bit. All right, we're going to call that good. If somebody would give me one of our sheet pans, and somebody move this out of the way. Take it away so we can take it over there and wash it.
Yeah, I got you.
Got it? There you go. Sit in the pan right now. We're waiting on our sheet pan. Now, just going to pat this dry. I want to get the injection off of it. If you are someone that likes to use a binder, right, to help your your seasoning stick, I usually do not use a binder, but hey, feel free to. Mustard, or I think I have some examples of it out here, what some people use. I will also use Maggi seasoning so that it gives a little umami flavor with it, right? But you could use mustard, right? Or you could use olive oil, either one, as a binder. But I feel like if you don't dry your brisket off, that your a little piece, you get these little hang pieces, right? Just take them off. I just feel like your bark wants to flake off sometimes if you don't have this good and dry before you start seasoning it. Now, the age-old question is this: fat side up or fat side down? That debate rages on generation to generation and cook team to cook team, backyard to backyard. What's the best way to do it? Almost my whole life, I cooked fat side up. And of course, you always heard the story that, well, the fat will render and go down through your meat and make it moist. Well, that's not the case, because when you do that, the fat molecule is too big to go through the meat. It sloughs off the sides. It protects it from the heat, but it does not go down through the meat, won't penetrate it. So that story's not correct. But anyways, my problem was this: cooking on fat side up, your best bark is always on your top. All right. And what happens with me is that I noticed that when you get that, a lot of times the people you serve it to, or you say you're trimming the fat off, and when you trim the fat off, you just trimmed your best bark off also. So I wanted to get a better bark, and so I started trying them fat side down. And if my daddy knew I was cooking briskets fat side down, he would roll in his grave. All right, tell you that right now. Dad was very, very adamant about fat side up, but I do cook them fat side down. So therefore, we're going to season the bottom side first, because that's the side that's going to be down and it's going to be messed up a little bit anyways. Your presentation side is always the one you want to season last. So I'm going to use some different seasonings I got here today. We're gonna layer flavors. I'm sure y'all kids down there in Cancun have heard your chefs talking about layering flavors. Well, I've got 3 flavors we're going to put on this brisket today. We're going to use this Texas beef, which is a very good rub, and that's going to be our starting point, is Texas beef. Salt, pepper. It's got some other things in it too, but that's it. And then I think what made him famous, his cow cover. And then we're going to come back with some Dirty Bird hot. So it's going to have a little bit of heat to this, not a whole lot. But when I come in, I'm going to start shaking this on. And if you see, and maybe Rafael could pan out a little bit, you can see that my shaker is not real close. And the reason for that is that it gives your rub a chance to spread out across this. Now, this is a great big piece of meat, folks, so it's going to have plenty of seasoning on it. All right, we're not going to be short on seasoning. But I've got that covered pretty good. But remember, we got 3 going on, so we don't want too much of any one. And I want to get my sides. All right, so just pick it up. Get your side on, the ends. And this end here. Now, Texas beef is on that side. Coming back with cow cover. Same process that we had before. And some of y'all may go, hey, I thought Texas was salt and pepper. Guys, that is Central Texas. That is not Texas. That's just the area up around Austin, the capital, and Luling and Lockhart. those are the salt and pepper guys. You get out away from that area, and there is all kinds of great seasonings and rubs going on briskets around the state of Texas. Salt and pepper is simply the Austin, Central Texas area. And of course, they're straight post oak also. Well, I hate to tell them we're going to put something on there besides post oak today. And then our last rub is our Dirty Bird Hot. Again, all these are from Cosmos. Now, I injected this with LC Barbecue, but Cosmos has some great injections also. Don't overlook his. His are wonderful. I mean, guy's a world champion, so he knows something about it, right? But again, I've got my sides, getting my sides good. Who's got the time? What time is it? 11:01. We got an hour. Actually, we may go a little longer because Cancun got in here a little bit late, right? But there we go. That one's covered good on that side, and we've got the sides. I'm gonna put a little bit more on this side. Got the sides good. So I'm gonna turn it over. This is our presentation side. That's why we waited till last, so we didn't get all messed up. So again, Texas beef. And I've already got the sides also. So all I've got to worry about is my top. There's Texas beef going. Looks good. Some cow cover. And on my barbecue stand, guys, I use seasoning salt, pepper, and garlic is really what I use on mine. But I thought it'd be good today just show y'all some rubs. You know, you don't have to make your own rub. There's a lot of great rubs out there. A lot of them right here in San Antonio, where we get the supplies for the high school barbecue team, is Lone Star Barbecue Pro Shop. Well, Brian over there, and he's got a full load. In his personal rub, I think it won award at not at Memphis and May, at Kansas City this year at the Royal. So, you know, there's some good rubs that you can buy. You don't have to come up with your own. You know, there's people that spend a lot of time making these. Now, one thing I want this to do is I want it to have time to sweat. So I want it to start bringing this salt to bring some moisture out. And I want that moisture to start coming up. That's going to help form my bark. So we're going to let this sit. If you're worried about flies or something get on it, you could cover it with a towel, put a pan over it, like a disposable pan. All that would work fine. But we're going to let this sit a little bit. I'm going to go into the office. We'll sit down and we'll do some question and answer time, so that y'all can see what's going on as soon as I wash my hands off and see what kind of questions we may have running through the chat, or if the chefs are in there, what kind of questions they have. So I'm going to head to the office, and we're going to let this sweat a little bit before we put it on the pit. I've got a Ziploc in there of some trim already. Let's put this with that trim. Okay. All right, here we go. I'm in here, and what I'm going to do is you're going to see here in just a second that the big feed isn't going to match. The chefs aren't in here. I'd hope they would be in here. I sent some out. Grab my phone out there, Elias, so I can see if they're going to jump in here. I thought they may have some questions from their students.
Mute that. Okay, I'm back on this one now. I got my phone. Let me see if they have any questions. Okay, let's go. The people I'm looking for my people that are usually here. Y'all got any questions? I got some names I don't recognize in the chat. Let's see here. All right, guys. I was wanting to do some question and answer time here, and I'm not getting the questions, man. Come on, guys, give me some questions in here to answer. Chef, I know if y'all can hear me, we'll come back and get some questions for y'all. Oh, little dark. How's that, guys? Is that helping up underneath me? I knew this too. Take off my hat. Just the bald of my head might blind everybody, but other than that, we'll be all right. You know, Ron, as long as I'm in here, sometimes I'll let it sit for 20 or 30 minutes just to sweat out. I've seasoned them earlier and let them sit in the refrigerator. I'm not really worried about coming to room temp, because it's never going to come to room temp. I'll tell you that right now. It'll warm up some, but you're not going to get that brisket up to room temp. The seasonings I used today I used Cosmos Texas beef, and I came back on top of it with cow cover from Cosmos, and on top of that was some Dirty Bird hot. So we had all of those going on, and did that just to layer those seasonings to get a lot of flavor in that brisket. And again, that brisket will hold a lot of seasoning because it's a great big piece of meat, and it will hold a lot. You know, James, when I look for brisket sizes, I really like a brisket around that 15-pound mark. It seems like, yes, Cosmo Q is what I'm referring to, right? When I said Cosmos Q. James, those 15-pounders, I think they've got big enough that there's plenty of fat on them. They're a little bit more mature cow. If you get the smaller ones, I feel like sometimes they haven't been around as long. There's not as much fat on them. Although some people say the younger ones are more tender. But, you know, if we're cooking these things right, the majority of the time they're going to come to a very good tenderness, without a doubt. The briskets, there's arguments over right side, left side brisket, big brisket, little brisket, young cow, old cow. There are all kinds of arguments over that. I haven't seen a real big difference, but I do know that I like a brisket in that 15, 16-pound range. I think just cooks up better. It's usually a more tender brisket. It's usually got a little more fat on it than a smaller brisket does. And if you get too big, they'll cook up good. It just takes forever to do it. And a lot of times there is a whole lot of fat on them. Tom, whenever I cook a brisket, what happens is if you're cooking at that 225 to 250 range, you can figure an hour and a half per pound. Now, that wasn't pound of what it was prior to trimming, after trimming, right? Pound and a half per hour. I usually cook at 275, and at 275, I can figure about an hour a pound. You bump over that, you're going to get down into that 45 minutes a pound. But I usually do that. I really don't use a powdered meat tenderizer. I know a lot of people use that in comps to try to tenderize their briskets and stuff. But if you pick out a good brisket, and again, we're talking comp now, inject it and maybe use a phosphate in there to help it hold moisture. I don't think you need to, but I understand why people do that. I know some people that inject it with papaya, which naturally breaks down meat. Sometimes you can even buy steaks that have already been injected with papaya to help make them more tender. I tell you what, Chris, I don't, this is it. When people talk about the temperature of the meat going into the pit, I've been known to sit it in an ice chest with just a little bit of ice in it, but your smoke ring, which has nothing to do with smoke, is going to build And that, I'm talking about the pink ring on the inside, right? It's going to build until that brisket reaches 140 degrees. And when it hits 140, it's when the nitrates and nitrites quit interacting with the hemoglobin that's in that meat. That's where the pink stops. You're curing it, is what you're doing. You're turning like a pork roast into a ham, pork ham, right? It turns pink. Same way with this, you're curing that meat naturally with the nitrates and nitrites that are in smoke. So what happens is the longer you can keep it under 140 degrees, the more smoke rings you're going to have. Now, if you've got it salted good, if you have celery salt, it's going to add a little bit more pink. Of course, we can chemically introduce by using pink salt or Tender Quick or anything like that and put a pink ring on anything because it's going to penetrate in and turn it pink. But the true nitrates and nitrates stop at 140 degrees. And so you're just collecting what's coming from your coals burning. And it's not smoke, it's the coals burning. And the nitrates are just carried along with the smoke. It has nothing to do with smoke at all. But that's why people do that. And Bottle Cap Barbecue was the one asking that question. Let's see. Yeah, Ron, nothing wrong. Slow it down. Bringing it from your fridge to your smoker. Yeah. This one was around a 12 pounder is what it was. All the briskets we cooked for today were around 12 pounds. Yes, Ron, that's it. That's when your nitrates quit turning your smoke ring pink to 140 degrees. Turkey works out great. I have some turkey videos on the channel that you can see, and it's the same principle with them. That smoke ring will stop at that 140 degrees. Doesn't make what difference it makes. Now, I'm going to check and see if the chefs have given me, like I said, there's someone live chat. I'm getting that. I can go back to the chefs. They must not have got the link. And of course, I know they're having internet problems. That little hurricane blew through the Yucatan Peninsula and messed up some internet with them last night. So that's one of our problems. And guys, remember, we're going to do this again tomorrow. We're going to do spare ribs, pork spare ribs, and we're going to do fajitas. So that's going to be our talk tomorrow and our demos on it. All right, I tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to go look at getting this one on the pit. We'll show that. And what we're going to do is look and see if that other one is ready to wrap. If it's ready to wrap, guys, when I wrap, I always wrap to color. I really do not wrap to temperature. Today, we're going to wrap this brisket with butcher paper. I'm just as willing to wrap it with foil. And definitely in competition, I use foil because with foil, you can catch your au jus. Don't have that luxury with your paper, but I can catch all my au jus when I wrap in foil. I've been known to put it into a disposable pan, cover with foil, and do it that way. Some people complain. They say, well, that softens up your bark. That's true. Your bark will get softer, but if you save a little time at the end of your cook, unwrap it, leave it on there for the last 20, 30 minutes, unwrap, and it's going to firm that bark up right again. It'll dry it back out where that steam has softened it up some. So no problem at all, without a doubt. Right before your lunch, I'm killing you. I understand that. So anyways, we're going to wrap today, like I said, with butcher paper. I'm going to show you how to, I'm hoping that one's dark enough. If not, we may come back in and answer a few questions to see, so I can show y'all the wrapping procedure, or I may just do maybe a mock wrap on it, just to let y'all kind of look at that so y'all can see how it's done. And I may not put it on there wrap if I want to get that a little bit darker. I'd hope to have the chefs from Cancun in the chat, but it doesn't look like they're able to get in to ask some specific questions. I know we have the kids down there in Mexico watching. Oh, there you go. Steven shared my my turkey video on there. Appreciate that. All right. Yeah, if we don't have any other questions right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to I'm going to get out there and we're going to put this brisket on the pit. So real quick, let's get them in there. If not, we're going to head in the kitchen, get that brisket up, and then we'll get outside with it. All right, not seeing any post up, so I'm going to turn this mic off, and I'm going to go back to the other mic. All right, not seeing any post up, so I'm going to turn this mic off, and I'm going to go back to the other mic. Had my readers on the whole time. That's why I couldn't see anything way out there. Put my regular glasses on. All right, guys, y'all ready to get this brisket on? All right, y'all can see we had this covered up. Students covered it for me, and it's starting to sweat out some. See where it's starting to sweat out? That's going to help with our bark formation. But we'll take this out. Jonathan, you want to carry this outside for us? And we'll see if we can get this on the barbecue pit outside. Mm-hmm. Nicole, give me 2 of the rubber gloves, would you please? Thank you, sir. Man, we got a whole room full today, don't we? Nicole, you got this door for me? Go pop this one off. You got the brisket there. We're going to go on this pit with it. And, probably can't see. You might be able to, I don't know if you can see down in there or not. Can you tip that over there where they can see down in there? Anyways, you can see I've got a chunk of oak in there. There's a chunk of mesquite. And then we have our lumberjack lump with some briquettes also. But that's how it's set up. We're going to get this in for y'all. And here goes the brisket. I want to kind of show y'all this part. What I do when I put a brisket in is you want to scrunch it up, right? It's going to hold moisture better. And remember, it's going to come off like it looks. You want a nice puffed up brisket, then put it on there that way and it will stay that way. All right. So that's the way it went on. This pit right now is about 265. So I'm going to bump it up just a little bit more and let this get to smoke. Anybody happen to bring a towel?
You should have bring you.
I know, I forgot that. All right, come on over here, guys, and we'll take a look and see how this one's looking. All right. Pop this up. This one is not quite to what I would say wrapping stage right now. It's starting to get a mahogany color, but it's not quite there. But I may take it inside anyways, just to show y'all how we do it. And then I'll pull the wrap off and put it back on here. But it's not quite the color, because like I said, what happens is, and we can talk about this before, I'm gonna cover this back up so it'll keep getting smoke on it. But we'll talk about the stall a little bit. Got a towel. Go ahead, Raphael, and come here, and we'll talk about the stall a little bit. People get all worried about briskets going into the stall, and what the stall is
is when it gets to a certain temperature and the temperature does not raise inside that brisket. So it gets stuck and it may stay there an hour, it may stay there 2 hours. And people get all worked up over the stall. I do not concern myself with the stall at all. It's figured into your cook. It's in your allotted time in your cook. You know it's going to happen. Don't let that stall worry you. So a lot of people wrap right about that 170-degree mark because that's about when the stall happens. And the reason it happens is the coolness on the inside of that brisket, the moisture are fighting the heat. And the heat's having to overtake that moisture and the coolness to keep penetrating it with heat, and the cool is trying to fight it off. Just keep your temperature steady, keep it going, and it will overcome it without a doubt. There's no problem at all. But don't sweat it, right? Don't sweat the small stuff. The stall is going to happen. Just know it's going to get there, and your temperatures aren't going to change for a while if you're monitoring internal temperatures. So that's what you have to worry about with the stall, and that's why a lot of people wrap. I usually wrap when it looks right, and this brisket right now doesn't look right. That's why I'm worried about the wrap. I'm going to see what I got a probe on the inside, and we'll see what's going on here and see if we can pick up a temperature reading. And I can tell you where it's at now. Actually, it says that one's about 180 degrees. So it's coming on up. That's a brisket that I would probably take all the way through and never wrap it. I don't always wrap, but that's probably what I do. But I wanted to show y'all the wrap today. So we're going to get this off of here. I'll show you the wrap, but I'm probably going to put it back on here unwrapped. But I want y'all to see the process of how to do that. If you would get me a sheet pan to put this cooked one on, and then we'll carry it inside. Okay, make sure he's coming to get it. And guys, you can buy rubber gloves. You can do a lot of stuff to do with gloves. Who's got my gloves? All right. This is an easy thing to use. These are just cheap cotton gloves. You can buy a dozen of them for $10 or $12. So I mean they're $1 a piece. But I'll wear those, and of course we know if we're picking up a brisket and the grease is going to soak right through and burn you, right? So I just use regular latex gloves like your kitchen gloves, and I put them on over that. And I tell you what, and I'm sure I can't see the chat while I'm out here, but there's some great knowledge in the chat. Chris, Bottle Cap Cookers, he's won awards cooking barbecue. Aim 'em and claim 'em, James over there, fantastic cook, is placing all the time. So I've seen some different guys in there that I know are quality cooks. So if they're posting stuff up if there's questions going on when I'm not seeing them, then y'all, hey, let those guys answer for you because they know their stuff tremendously, and they're very good. But now I have a pair of grease-proof high heat gloves, and what did they cost me? $1, right? A lot better than some of those $25 ones. But we're going to take this out. Again, I want to stress, this is not the color I would wrap at, but I want to show you all the wrap action, so we're going to do it. Here we go. It is puffed up nice, though. Not quite the color I'm looking for, but we'll take that inside. All right, let's get back inside, and I'll show you how we wrap a brisket. It's the fun part, getting your gloves off, right? All right, gloves are off. Let's get inside. Let's go ahead and move that dirty pan out of the way. We can go there and wash it. Here, you can get this stuff too, right? me a towel with sanitizer on it, guys. Oh, you know what? I can do it here. I can do this work. I can do it here. Yeah. Okay. Are we ready to go? And I just got your basic butcher paper here. This is a small brisket. If you got a big brisket, you can get 2 sheets and double it up. This one's not real big, so I'm not going to use 2. But I'm gonna leave it on my sheet pan. See if my hands are used to heat. So here's what I'm gonna do. I like to leave enough that maybe not go all the way over it, but maybe about 3/4 the way. Hold it over there. Hold it over there. And I'm going to take it and roll it. Pull it tight. Roll it again. If this sticks out too far, just hold it underneath, right? But this brisket can go back on there. It can continue smoking. Like I said, I want this to get a little bit more smoke. So I'm actually going to unwrap it, put it back on there, unwrapped, and let it keep going. We may let it go forever until it's finished. We'll just got to see what happens with it and where it progresses. But I'm going to take this one back out, get it on there. We'll see if there's any questions about the wrapping stage or the stall. Once we take care of those questions, we'll get out that cooked brisket and let y'all look and see how it turned out. So let's get this one back out on the pit. All right, guys, y'all want to go ahead and sit this back on that pit? Y'all don't need my help, do you? Huh? Okay. Y'all go do that, and I'll go ahead and start answering questions. Now I'm going to wash my hands off here. You're good. You're doing great. Okay, here we go. Mic's on the camera. You should be able to see my smiling face. Okay, guys, we have got everything going out there. Hey, GB, good to have you in here today. And for some of y'all that don't know, what this is my high school students are working with University of Technology in Cancun, Mexico, and we're doing the Art of Texas Barbecue, presenting it for them. So they have students down there. Last night they kind of got hit with a little hurricane come across the Yucatan, right? So they've lost internet capabilities and things like that. But they've got a lot of their students on here, so we're doing the presentations for them. My high school students are helping me. And we just got through wrapping a brisket, showing how it was wrapped. And we also talked about the stall. So if y'all have any questions about that, let me know. I see questions coming up about spritzing. I will spritz, especially in my Ugly Drum Smokers, and I do have a spritz bottle, but I usually do not spritz it until it's saying, "Oh, that looks like it's needing it, and it needs a little moisture." I let it keep trying to render that moisture out before I start spritzing. So you're usually going to see me spritz in the last half of a cook, more so than the first half of a cook. If I'm cooking on my Pitmaker barbecue vaults or something like that, what you're going to see is you're going to see a water pan in there. My big reverse flow, you're going to see a water pan in there. So if I have access to a water pan, you will see that, and I do like that for moisture. But I do spritz. You'll see me spritz my ribs. Tomorrow we'll be spritzing ribs some. Again, I usually just use water.
If I do any mixture, it is usually apple juice, apple cider vinegar, and a little bit of cooking oil. And that seems like it flows pretty good and keeps the surface of those ribs pretty tender. And it adds a little sweetness to them with the apple juice. And right, Steven's correct. If you have a question, put at and start typing out Texas style cuisine. And when you do that, you'll see my name pop up. Click it. It'll give me an orange message. And if you put it in all caps, it's easier for me to see and know it that way. Sounds so good? Okay, so the sound's doing good. Here we go. We got some people talking about spritzing in the pork realm. Let's see. There you go. We're talking about spritzing again. Yeah, there you go. We're talking about the gloves. We talked about that. So I'm trying to go back up here and see. Clay Cowgill. The brown seasoning, what I used was the white colored one was Texas beef. And then the next one was cow cover. It's kind of an orange color. And then the last one, which was a little darker, maybe deeper red color, was the Dirty Bird Hot. So we layered our flavors on there to keep layering that flavor and get all that in there. I think I'm caught up. We got some new comments coming down here. Chip Signal, good to have you in the chat today. Yes, Tony, we're going to be doing brisket now. We've got the brisket. My students went and put it back out on the pit, the one that's halfway through. We've got one that just started. And of course, we have one that's done. So we're going to be cutting that one up and showing y'all how to slice it and those type of things here in just a minute. The difference between a spritz and a mop. One of the men that really taught me how to barbecue, John Negron, was a big mop. He made a vinegar sop, and we used a mop because we would do these great big cooks with him up at the Catholic church. And man, we'd have, I don't know, man, 40, 50 briskets. Trying to get my keys on my front. We would do that, and he literally had a mop, and it was vinegar, onions, mustard, some oil, and seasonings, and then we'd mop those briskets with that all the time, and give it that flavor. Very good brisket. His nephew Alfred Carroll I also cooked with, and Alfred was just the opposite. He didn't mop at all or spritz. He was a seasoning salt guy. Don't mess with a lot, dry rub and cook it through. So I learned a lot from those two men, and they were both great cooks in their own rights. And even though they were totally different in their approaches to that. But yeah, that was I usually, I won't say I never mop, but normally I spritz and don't mop. If I mop, like if I'm doing a brisket and I cook it in a pan, I'll take that au jus that's in it and come back up and mop the top of it with the au jus and the fat that's rendered out into that pan. Works great for keeping it moist, for taking care of that bark so it doesn't get too hard on you. There you go. And we get yeah, hey, I tell you what, I could use a chimichanga right now. Hey, Drive Chef Drew showed up. Thank you for showing up. Favorite season on beef. If we're talking brisket, I really do like the Cosmos rubs. If I'm going to do a Vault rub, Cosmos is tremendous. The Lone Star Barbecue Pro Shop, Brian over there, his rubs are good. Alamo Dust, I like specifically, is real good. Uncle Steve Shake, he's got some new pig powder and competition powder. Those are good on beef specifically. My mixture is seasoning salt, black pepper, and garlic, and so that's really a 4-2-1, right? So I do 4 seasoning salts, 2 peppers, 1 garlic, and I like Lowry seasoned salt when I do that. But that's kind of my go-to usually on a brisket. on our barbecue trailer, that's the rubs we go with there on doing that. Let's see what else we got. I was looking for a pen here. Got a pen somewhere. Here's my pen. All right. Any other questions here? Anybody want to talk about the stall? You know, Clay, that is really a Central Texas deal. That's why not just salt and pepper. Central Texas is really, you know, kosher salt and of course ground black pepper. You see that Austin, Luling, Lockhart. The rest of the state really is not a salt and pepper situation. I'm not going to tell you I don't ever do any, but I don't often do just salt and pepper. I'll do salt and pepper with some garlic. I like garlic in mine. I think it works out good. But I like some other flavors in there. And it, I think people have been sold a bill of goods about Texas is all beef and Texas is all salt and pepper, which is not the case. Just that central Texas area is. And tomorrow we're doing pork spare ribs. I mean, I'm going to say the majority, if you go into a barbecue restaurant in Texas and they have ribs, it's going to be a pork rib. If they do have beef ribs, it's usually just on the weekends because there's not a big enough demand for beef ribs out there. All right, got any other questions? And if not, we're going to get out there and we may slice up a brisket. Okay, yeah, table salt that snows. Yeah, and a lot of people do use table. And again, that's over in Lexington. And pass that to one of my kids. All right. It's the big wooden one. We'll set it up. Oh yeah, Lexington's right over in that same area where it's a salt and pepper area, known for snows, known for great briskets, without a doubt. In that Central Texas flavor of brisket that people are hunting with the salt and pepper, and yeah, some people do. And we're getting the question: iodine or sea salt? I use plain iodine salt. Doesn't bother me. When I in my all-purpose rub that I use, you'll see tomorrow is going on our ribs. It's got just regular salt in it. I do make it occasionally with kosher salt. I like kosher salt in those bigger pieces. Kind of melts down in that meat, and I think gives a good flavor. But I have no problem at all with an iodized salt going on it. Mark, usually on separating the point and I cook them all the way through, and I'll separate them after they're cooked. I do, and you can find some videos on there of mine of where I cook the flat or where I cook the point. But you know, down here in Texas, you know, burn ends aren't the thing. We are starting to see them places now, and they are there. But we take that brisket. When I slice mine in a minute, you're going to see it. I'm going to go 2/3 the way up that brisket along the flat, and then I'm going to turn and go sideways, and I'm going to slice that point also. So usually you don't see them separated out. If I'm going to do some burn ends, I've got a niece that really loves them. I do that after they're cooked or almost cooked. I'll separate that point off and take it and cut them up and put them back on. Looking for other questions on here. Okay, I'm not seeing other questions right now. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go jump on there. We're going to get out that cooked brisket and see if we can get it sliced up. Looking here, but yeah, we're fixing to make the move, guys, and we're gonna head that way. So let me get in there, and I'm gonna let Elias take back over the controls again. So if you post up a picture, a comment in here, I'm really not gonna see them. Elias might be able to holler at me, but he doesn't see them lit up in StreamYard either. They're only lit up on the regular one. But if you put them all in caps, he might notice it and tell me that. But I'm gonna go in there and we're gonna go over slicing a brisket. We're going to let some students take some samples of it, see how they like it. and let y'all see the process of doing that. So I'm going to go back over. We've got Mike is on live.
Take some samples of it, see how they like it, and let y'all see the process of doing that. So I'm going to go back over. We've got Mike is on live, and I'm going to mute that camera or that mic. We should be good. Let's get out there and see about slicing up a brisket. You want to get me the brisket? We're gonna get the brisket out, the one that I cooked this one all night. It's been a long night. Cooked that one all night. My son helped me some. Some of y'all seen John in some of my videos, but he worked with that a lot. I got up early this morning, kind of took over for him. But we got this one off the pit, and so we can show y'all a cooked one. You just sit it right there. Pull this one out and let's see how it came out. I mean, I was sliced up, but looks pretty. Here we go, guys. That's what they call food porn. Y'all didn't know. That is a hashtag on Instagram. All right, guys. Let's take this out. Look at that. Man, that is a beautiful brisket. I'm not going to get rid of the au jus in there. We're going to hang on to that. Oh, you know what? I didn't get my knife out. If you get my slicer out of there, I got a nice slicer. Open it. It's the real long one. When you open it up, that one right there. That one. This is a Mercer Renaissance. Just got this one the other day. It's a nice, but like I said, I usually cut. This is the flat, right? The points underneath it. I usually come up about 2/3 of the way, and that's where I'm going to slice it. You see the bark. Some people think a bark is, oh no, it's all black. Well, it's burnt. No, it's not burnt. That's your bark. It's supposed to be dark. But here we go. Got a good picture of that, guys. So remember earlier I said this was the point. This is the way we find where the brisket is running. They're running this way. So I'm going to start slicing and come up this way. Would be straight across the grain. So I'll come in here. Ready? I'm going to take this corner off. And you want to cut them about a 1/4 of an inch thick. And guys, if I was doing a competition brisket, I would have probably separated that whole flat off and not a. Now remember, this one was not injected. This was just a choice brisket. Got it out of the brisket bin at HEB. I'll turn it around here in a second and let y'all get a pretty picture of it. I can really see it. But if you were doing a competition, this is the area your competition slices would come out of. And we can look at this. Look here. This is what you want a brisket to do when you cook it. That's exactly what I'll do. It ought to lay across your finger and not break in half. Some people say, oh, lay it across a knife. Well, let's see if we lay it across a knife too and you don't get a break. So when you open it up, it's just going to be a slight tug and it comes apart. That brisket might have went just a tad longer maybe, Didn't have much of a pull, but it had a little bit of one. Okay. Kind of spin that around where y'all can see it. That is pretty brisket right there. My students have been working hard this morning. I got to share with them, right? This is their reward for the day. They get one little piece of a slice of brisket. Our production crew is on the other side. Anybody want to try this, guys? I haven't tried it myself yet, so see if it's any good. How is it, folks? Okay. Let me show you how to slice up this point in now, right? So we've got a little bit of the flat on it, and we're going to start cutting it across, right? We were coming this way. Now we're going to go across this way to get our point slices. These you'll cut a little bit thicker, about 3/8 of an inch instead of that 1/4 inch cut. But guys, this is in Texas, we slice this in instead of making burnt ends out of it, right? We're going to have tacos here in a minute. I think I got some tortillas I can put this brisket on. We just got to save enough for the fajitas tomorrow. Well, that ain't working out the way I want it to. I'm just going to move it out of the way. So here we go, guys. Y'all see that again? Anyways, there's a beautiful brisket. Cooked up very, very well. The points together, you can pick it up and look at it. It just, this is your tender. There's a little bit of the flat right up on top of it, but it's moist, it's tender. I definitely would consider this a Texas style brisket. Go ahead and pop that up this way so y'all can see it. Let's see here. Okay. We're good. I got to taste it now, right? Only fair. I cooked it all to get a taste it. Just to make sure. But hey, guys, it pulls. See here, look. It's got a little bit of a pull, not much at all. It's a pretty brisket. Let me get up. It's a good brisket. Like I said, it probably could have stayed on the pit just a tad longer. This one went up to about a 206. And that's another thing to talk about also. At what temperature do you pull it? A lot of people say 203. And remember, temperatures are a guideline. Every brisket is different. I've pulled them at 197, 198. I've pulled them at 110, 111. Honestly, the hotter and faster you cook it, the higher the temperature is going to have to be when you pull it. A brisket that's cooked down around that 225 mark, a lot of times you can pull those before 200 degrees very, very often. But it's going to affect the brisket itself and how fast you cook that brisket and what took place with it. But this is a good brisket. I think you could hear from the crowd around that there wasn't anything wrong with this brisket at all. It tastes good. It's pretty. We've got some nice moisture in it. Again, not injected. You do not have to inject a brisket to get a nice moist piece of brisket. And you don't have to cook a prime every time. This was a choice. This came out of the $2.29 bin at a pound, there at HEB. So it was there, but it looks good. I'm gonna run back into the office again, take some questions. I'll see if I can answer those for you. And remember tomorrow, guys, tomorrow is ribs and fajitas. We're gonna be doing a live cook on both those tomorrow the same way. I'm gonna show you how to cut out a rack of ribs. We'll put those on. We're gonna have some St. Louis ribs coming off, and just show you how we do that. Probably won't inject those. Those are just gonna be a regular old cook on those. But we're gonna do those ribs, and in between the ribs time, I'm gonna throw some fajitas on the grill, and we are going to do a quick grill of some fajitas. Doesn't take long to do that. But for our kids in Mexico, it's the way we do the carne asada, and there's a specific cut of meat, and I can't remember exactly. Chef Carlos told me yesterday. Y'all can ask him. Arrachera, I think is the way he said it. Maybe. I think it's the arrachera. It's the outer skirt is what we like. It's a thin one. Okay, they're hard to get. These are the inside skirt steaks, right? So they're the wider ones. But the other one, I think it was lucky I had Jonathan here today. He was able to, but it's the narrower one. And that's why they call them fajitas, is because a faja is belt, and they look like a little belt. And I'll give you that story tomorrow. And so y'all clue back in tomorrow. We're going to try to kick off at 10 again, go 10 to noon with pork spare ribs and with fajitas tomorrow. And so the kids down there can really see what we do up here in Texas with our asada tacos and how we make them up here. But let's get back in the office, see how that turns out. And I'll be right in there, so y'all follow me in. Pretty good.
It's delicious. Unbelievable.
Man. All right, let me go in
I
there.
thought you were supposed to be eating that.
You're on a diet.
Yeah.
Hey, I can have meat. I feel it's not. Is it noon yet?
But then, like when we asked, we tried to give him food, he said no. Yeah.
Okay, guys, we're back on the mic here, so it should sync up. The small picture instead of the big picture, me. What we're gonna have. The chef from Cancun said they're enjoying it and they're drooling. All right, so they must have liked what we did down there. I'm gonna check the. Hey, there you go. We appreciate that. Everybody, thumbs up and share this. I do appreciate that. That's a friend helping me out there. Just looking back up to see if I see any questions. That brisket, Chris, rested. But I don't even know what time it is. It's almost noon. It's been resting for about 5 hours, probably 5 to 6. And in my warmer at 140. So it was still warm, all right, but not hot by any means. Yeah, I pulled it off between 5 and 6 this morning. Oh, the group that it's in, Ron, is on Facebook is the Big Sexy Barbecue Society. And a bunch of us rotund gentlemen. Of course, I used to be a little more rotund than I am now. They said they're going to kick me out. We got that going, but it is live in there. Just apply to be in the group, and somebody will accept you. Okay, here we go. Here's a good one. I'm gonna put Juan Fernando. Put this one in there. Have you mentioned the 3 characteristics level of meat? Can you repeat what they are? And what I think is our grades of meat. So down here in Texas, or in the United States, we have uh, we have select, choice, and prime. All right, based on the amount of marbling in that meat. So that's what we're looking at on those: select, choice, and prime. Prime being the most intermuscular fat, or the most marbling is what we call that, right? And so that's why in that brisket, y'all might have seen some of the close-up shots. That point end, which is the fat end, had a lot of marbling in there. That flat or the lean end didn't have as much in there, but because it was a prime that we did earlier, that's what I'm talking about. You saw some of that intermuscular fat in there because that's what you're looking for in a prime. Choice, and then select at the bottom. And then also we have meat that has no grading. So it's just meat out there. If it's not marked select, choice, or prime, you will not see that in there. Okay. And I see some people talking about hardwoods. You got to be careful. Like these were cooked with some mesquite wood. All right, so they were cooked with oak and mesquite. That's usually the way that I cook. You're going to see me cook 60 to 70% oak to give me a nice steady heat, coal bed, and you're going to see me use mesquite for the flavor we like here in Texas. Um, and that's kind of the ratio I use. Mesquite can get bitter if you have too much mesquite or if you have a little green mesquite. It will get bitter on you. I like if I go straight mesquite, it's usually when I'm grilling, not when I'm smoking something. Doing that long slow smoke. I like that oak to give me the uh, steady cold, the steady burn, the consistent temperatures. But I use the mesquite for the flavor, so it's usually 60, 40, 70, 30 on those. In other woods, I mean, hickory is available just about anywhere. So you can pick hickory up. You can pick up hickory chunks. These UDSs run on charcoal, and you can use hickory in there with them to give you that smoke flavor. I used oak and mesquite. Um, let's see. Hey, guys, tell them to quiet down if there's something getting kind of loud. Okay. Um, Coming back down here, see if I missed any other. Uh, hey, Little Fish made it. Madwood, thank y'all for being in here. And hello to you. Hey, Tran. Okay. Thanks for being in here. We have any other questions rolling in? We're right at that 2 hour mark. We're at an hour and a half with our kids from Cancun, Mexico, at the culinary school there at the Technological University of Cancun, UT Cancun. So mine is granulated. Okay, I don't really like to use. In fact, unless garlic powder shows up accidentally, I do not use it. I always use granulated garlic. Mark, so good question, right there. Okay, and that was 4 seasoning salts, 2 black peppers, 1 garlic. And that's my kind of go-to rub that I like all the time on my briskets. I'll use it on my pork also. The rub tomorrow that I'll use in my all-purpose rub, you'll see it. It's got some paprika in it, some chili powder, and other things. I use that on my ribs and my chicken, and y'all will see that in there. And there you go. Stephen just shared the Facebook group, Big Sexy, in the chat. It's Big Sexy Barbecue Society. There's 3 questions you have to answer to get in, and do that, and y'all can get in. But I think that brisket turned out good. Oh, hey, Grumpus, good to have you here. Appreciate you jumping on. We're kind of at the tail end of this, but the cook went well, cooking for the Technological University of Cancun. The culinary arts kids down there, and with us up here with my students helped me, and we did this presentation for them. So everything came out pretty good. And there's no more questions. I'm going to call this thing quits. So if y'all got a question, throw it in the chat pretty quick, and I'll see if I can answer them. A lot of my regulars are in here. We had some other questions of new people. I know some were students that came in from our guest over in Mexico. So let's see. I'm getting hellos and highs to people. No questions. All right. If we don't have any questions, we're going to call it quits. Hope you all enjoyed that demonstration. Remember, tomorrow at 10 to 12. Here we go. Got one rolled in. But cherry wood, I don't know if it gives it a stronger smoke ring, Ron, but it will give it a mahogany color. So it gives it a nice color when you do those things. Not necessarily, I don't know if I've ever noticed a better smoke ring out of it. Because remember, the smoke, the smoke ring itself has nothing to do with smoke. It's what's coming through to give it, it's curing it. So it's the nitrates and nitrites in that burning coals that when it releases it, they go out. But yes, I do like cherry wood. I've used it many times on a rib cook, especially competition ribs, to add a nice reddish color to the exterior of my ribs. Okay, so tomorrow is ribs. We're going to be doing just a traditional rib cook. I'm going to show you how to cut them down from a full slab. I may not go all the way to a St. Louis. We may do a kind of a Kansas City cut. I'll explain to you the difference of those cuts tomorrow. And we're going to throw those the inside skirts on there. We're going to make some tacos and let y'all see how we do that, so you can see how it correlates with what y'all are doing down there. To all my people up here that are my regulars, thank y'all for being here. My moderators, the guys with wrenches by their names in the chat, guys, those are my moderators. And I appreciate them being here and helping us out with that. But please check back in tomorrow morning. And we're going to do this again, 10 o'clock Central. And we're going to be going over ribs and fajitas tomorrow. We're going to be sharing again with our group down in Cancun. I'll be talking to the chefs there. If it's going to end up being a little bit later or something, then we may, we may push it back or something. But overall, we're planning on kicking off at 10 o'clock. And thank you for that. I'm glad y'all enjoyed it. Tom, appreciate you being here. Remember to subscribe. The best way that you can help this channel, if you want to support it, is by sharing videos. Sharing, getting it out in front of people, but like, subscribe, and share. So thank all of y'all for that. And again, thanks to my moderators. Thanks for everybody that joined in. And I'm going to let y'all go. Appreciate you. So we're going to see y'all down the road on Texas-style barbecue and cuisine. This is Chef Johnny, and we'll be seeing you. Oh, Chef Diego just jumped in. Let's see. He might have a question. He got here just in the nick of time. And see if he...
and we'll be seeing Chef Diego.
Chef Diego has a question.
A question. He got here just in the nick of time. And see if Chef Diego has a question.
Oh, you know what? I don't have my earpiece in.
Yes, Chef. Some of the students asked something on the YouTube chat.
What do you ask?
Students have something on the YouTube chat.
Oh, on the YouTube chat?
Yes, the students of the UT, they make some question there.
Oh, on the YouTube chat?
Let me look. Let me see here. Here's I got the actual YouTube up now. Okay, here we go. Yes, there will be this will render. Take a look at the render out, and then it will be back up, so you can see the whole cook. Michelle Rodriguez, Carmona. Hey, my next door neighbors are Carmonas. Good people. They've been on for years. So Michelle, thanks for asking that. Let's see, and I can't see both these at the same time. So, Chef Diego, is there any other ones I missed that you know of, or something you want me to answer specifically?
Yes, they have questions.
Any other ones I missed?
Yes, they have questions about the marinade that you use. They just want to know which ingredients are in there.
Oh, okay. On the ones that we did here, this one had the I used some commercial seasonings today on this one. So the commercial seasonings were Cosmo Q, which is a commercial out of Oklahoma. He's a world championship. I used his Texas beef, and then I used his cow cover, and I used his uh, Dirty Bird hot. And so I used those 3 rubs on it. Tomorrow I'll be using my own, and y'all will have the exact recipes on that. Now the seasoning that I used on my I'm losing my mind here. The seasonings I use on mine tomorrow. Here's what I was gonna say. Finally remember it. The seasonings I use on my briskets is a 4-2-1 for the seasoning. 4 seasoning salt. I like Lowry's brand. All right. 2 black peppers, a little bit coarser, not too fine grind, and then 1 of garlic, granulated garlic. So we have those 4, 2, and 1. Seasoning salt, black pepper, garlic, and that's the way I do those there. I got
Okay,
somebody
and
relaying questions to me, so if there's
from
another
the
one in there I missed, let me know that one.
yes, and from the liquid that you use, that you inject to the meat.
Oh, okay. On the injection that I injected. Okay. That was from a company called LC Barbecue, and that was their Play Bull. They have 2 beef injections. They have Play Bull and they have Angry Bull. They also have Boss Hog, and they have Foul Play for the chickens and things like that. But LC Barbecue is available on Facebook. If you search Facebook, LC Barbecue, if you put CJ10 in there, it will tell you Chef Johnny 10 will get you 10% off. I don't make anything on it, but it is the injection that they can use in there. If you don't have access to something like that, a lot of times I'll inject with some beef consomme, and I'll use beef consomme with some apple juice and inject that. And I've even been known to inject my briskets with Dr. Pepper. So I would take about a 1/4 Dr. Pepper and about the other 3/4, a mixture between apple juice and beef consomme. Puts a nice sweetness in there. Seems like the soda water from the Dr. Pepper. You can use Coke, right? Helps break down the meat fibers and stuff with that. But I have injected with that before. Today I just showed some commercial rubs and commercial injections. Tomorrow will be my own recipes. And of course, y'all have the 4-2-1 for what I would do with a brisket at home on my barbecue trailer. Would be 4 seasoning salts, 2 peppers, and 1 garlic.
And also, if you can tell us which kind of wood is the best one to do this technique.
Oh, okay. On the wood, guys, I like a mixture of oak with mesquite. Now, you get up in Central Texas, and they're all post oak, for the post, right? I use live oak. I've used Spanish oak, blackjack oak. I use just about any kind of oak. But oak will give you a nice cold bed and a consistent heat. But the people of South Texas like mesquite flavor also. So I use about 60 to 70% oak with 30 to 40% mesquite. And that's normally the ratios I always cook in when it's a slow smoke. If you use too much mesquite, if you're not careful, you can make it bitter and get a bitterness in there.
Okay. I think they are all the questions that the students have. Maybe if they have more questions, we can answer it tomorrow.
Right, we can answer them tomorrow. Tell them to get the questions tomorrow, and we'll do a question and answer time on that. But also, once this video renders out, what they can do is they can put it in the chat here. I always answer every comment, or they can email me specifically at texasstylecuisine@gmail.com. Just texasstylecuisine@gmail.com. And they can even email me, and I'll respond to their emails. So we've got a lot of things like that going on, and I'll answer the questions the best I can. But tell them to write them down, get them to y'all maybe, and relay them, or we'll figure something out tomorrow, and I'll answer the questions they have tomorrow. Or if they put them in the chat down here, once this renders out, I will answer them in the chat also.
Okay, Chef. Thank you very much.
Okay, Chef. Very good. I think we are done now. So we're all going to say goodbye. And folks, we'll see y'all back tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. We're going to be with the students and chefs down in Cancun once again. And anyone else that wants to join in 10 to 12 tomorrow, we're talking spare ribs and we're talking fajitas, and it's going to be another great lesson. So thank y'all for stopping by Texas Style Barbecue and Cuisine. I always do appreciate it. And we'll see y'all down the road. Goodbye, everybody. Everybody, bye. All right, let's see. Let's see here. I got to end all the broadcasting. I don't think that one's gone. That one should be gone. We should be done. Nope, end broadcast. That's what I did.